It's very common for people to say they want inner peace. They say it because their inner world resembles a battlefield, and there will be casualties on a battlefield. So one part of them may be saying, well, I should be kind and loving, and another part of them is hateful. And they can't reconcile them, and so there's an internal battle taking place all the time, and that's true with many other things. Part of them will say, well, you should be ambitious and successful. Another part of them should say, well, no, you should have an easy life, not strive too much. So these inner battles go on all the time, and people want an escape from it, and they see inner peace as being maybe some mechanism by which they can get some escape, or they can achieve some kind of escape. The problem is that to try and pursue inner peace just makes the whole thing worse. Because not only have you got everything else going on, which I'll mention shortly, but you now have a desire for inner peace. The most common way that people try and pursue that is maybe through meditation or something. And sure enough, for whatever it is, 15 minutes, half an hour, you can get things to settle down a little bit, but as soon as you finish the meditation, half an hour later you're back in to the same old scenario of wars taking place within you, with various disturbances that you'd rather not have. So meditation doesn't do it, and may make things worse actually, because it's just another desire. Well, I'm going to sit down for half an hour and meditate and get things to calm down. And of course that's another thing that you are, how can I put it, expecting, another expectation that may not come about, because meditation doesn't always work. So the reason inner peace is so expensive, and it is probably just about the most expensive thing you might try and pursue, is because you can only have inner peace when your desires are calmed, when your emotions are calmed, when your thoughts are calmed, and when you are not bombarded by overstimulation, visual and audio stimulation. How can you possibly have inner peace if your desires are rampant? Maybe a desire for new sexual partners, for money, for fame, for power, for stuff. Maybe that new car that you want to buy has totally occupied your mind for the last 3 months. You're not going to get inner peace if your inner world is full of desires. How do you deal with that? You deal with it through understanding the nature of life, and that most of the things you desire are actually worthless. They're not worth having. Anyway, that's desires. So the next thing is emotions. If you are driven by envy or jealousy or anger or love or excitement or greed or regret or guilt or any one of 100 emotions, clearly there cannot be any inner peace. So we have to learn to deal with the emotions. These things are not quick fix, weekend workshop things. It takes a lifetime to understand these things and to calm them. Because, as I've said many times before, we're driven primarily by the desire to survive and procreate. If that desire is not being fulfilled in any kind of way, so maybe you're ill, or you haven't got money, or a relationship has just failed, or whatever, you will possibly worry, and you'll possibly get stressed out about things. So we need to learn how to deal with the emotions. And again, as with desires, the way that we deal with them is through understanding them. And then, so that's desires, emotions. We've then got thoughts. Many of your thoughts will be associated with your desires and emotions. So if you hate somebody, maybe you are thinking about them all the time, about how you can get some kind of revenge. Or if you love somebody, maybe you're obsessed with seeing them. That's not inner peace, is it? So your thoughts will center around all the things you want and all of your emotions. So, you want that new Mercedes Cabriolet, and so you're thinking about it for the next 6 months. No inner peace there. And finally, there are sensations. So if you are overstimulated with visual and audio sensations, then there's no peace there either, is there? I mean, if you're sat in front of a video game half the day, or if you're watching TV most of the day, you're certainly not going to get any peace there because you'll be overstimulated. So as you can see, the cost of inner peace is very high. You have to learn how to moderate the desires, the emotions, the thoughts, and not be overstimulated with the sensations. That's a big ask. So I would suggest that maybe instead of trying to get a quick fix for inner peace, you start to look at those things, your desires, emotions, thoughts, and sensations. Because it's only by understanding those things and by moderating them, and maybe eventually by, almost eliminating them. I think while we're human beings, we will always be affected by those things to some extent. But certainly reducing the volume level right down, and then you might know some inner peace. But that's a big ask, isn't it? The price is way too high for most people. They might want inner peace. They might think that it's something easily achieved, but it isn't. It's the most expensive thing on the planet.